this start.
Welcome to another edition of Guns 101, our video welcome message for new gun owners, brought to you by the Self-Defense Radio Network. I'm Rob Morse from Self-Defense Gun Stories. My partner that you can see here in front of the camera is Amanda Suffolcool from Eye on the Target Radio. My other partner that you can't see is working behind the camera. He's Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. We're joined again by Tom and Diane Walls from the Firearms Academy of Seattle. Tom and Diane, millions of people came home with a new gun, new to them, and we can't get them into class due to quarantine. Would you give me the anatomy of a semi-automatic handgun?
We can do that.
Yeah.
So, hi guys. This is going to be fast and dirty. Okay, not a substitute for training. A video can't be. First thing I can tell you, and guys, this is hard for us, right? RTFM, read the freaking manual. Your new gun came with the manual. They spent some time writing it.
Get past the safety liability and go right to
understand how the machine works. If it was a car magazine, we'd do it. The other thing is to talk about safety a little bit. We are going to be using in demonstration some real guns. Most of them will have torn down to just the frame. And you'll see how we handle it when we reassemble one to show the parts of an actual gun. The ammunition that we put in our magazines for demonstration, see this orange thing here? This is a dummy round. It's inert. It can't fire. There is no ammunition anywhere, actually, in the floor of this house that will fit these guns, so we're safe there. First off, let's talk about magazines.
Magazines. Now, these are magazines, and you can see that one's a bit thinner than the other. This one holds 10 rounds of 9mm. It's what's called a single stack magazine. The rounds are all stacked straight up and down on top of each other. And this one here is from an M&P
double stack magazine.
Double stack magazine. It's got the rounds are staggered side to side. It'll hold 17 rounds. So, magazine is basically a box that holds ammunition. There's a spring in there that's you compress as you put more ammunition in, and the magazine fits up the magazine well, like this, and you can see there in the frame of this gun that it's kind of angled slightly upward.
Because we've disappeared this part for the purposes of illustration.
And I'm going to stick the barrel on here, and now you can see how it relates to the barrel.
So when the slide moves back and forth, when it's attached, it moves forward. I'm going to be the slide here. It pushes the fresh round, the new ammunition, up the ramp and into the barrel, into the back of the barrel. Now I've got one there. The next round has moved into position. This is in the firing chamber. Okay, we say chamber around, it's in there. This is where the explosion happens and the bullet gets pushed out of the cartridge mouth.
So the magazine aids in feeding the ammunition up into the firearm. However, a lot of people call it a clip, and this is what is actually a clip. And it's just a little piece of metal.
Just a little strip.
And its purpose is to hold ammunition in a particular configuration so that you can do something else with it.
So you can quickly load a magazine. This one for an AR-15 rifle, so you can see. So now you know clips
difference between
and
a
magazines.
clip and a magazine.
Okay, I think of a magazine as a Pez dispenser. It's a box that holds some really cool stuff inside, and it does what it does. Yeah, that's kind of good. Okay. Let's talk about single action and striker fired and double action. Like a revolver, you can use the energy of the trigger press. That's a good Pez.
Yeah.
Use the energy of the trigger press to fire the gun. It also may be used to cock the gun. So a single action is the trigger press just fires the gun. That would be like the frame of this 1911 frame pistol, 1911 being the name of the pattern, the mechanism. It's got a hammer, okay? When I pull this trigger, press it, all that has to do is release the hammer. I'm going to do this gently so I don't batter my nice gun. And at about 4 or 5 pounds pressure, it makes that fire. That's the only thing it does. The slide reciprocates. When it does that, it pushes the hammer back, and it's cocked and ready for the next single action shot. Diane was just demonstrating with a striker fire gun. A striker is a glorified firing pin. So if this white pen, oversized, represents that, it's got a spring around it. And as the slide goes back, you either rack it actuated by hand, or you fire it around and the slide goes back. It preloads the spring that holds this striker, this firing pin, most of the way back. The rest of that compression and then firing, making it kind of a double action. I'm going to hold this awkwardly, but I want you to look if you can see this silvery part right underneath. I'm going to move that slowly.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So as you press the trigger, it compresses the spring the rest of the way on the striker and then releases it. Glocks are real commonly using this system. Smith & Wessons, we see a lot of these. Perfectly fine system, a little heavier press, but it's a neat way to do it. Some guns do both. We don't have an example, and that's getting too far into the weeds. That's called a single double. Your first shot can be double action, a long, heavy trigger pull. Slide reciprocates, cocks the hammer back, and the rest of them are single. Again, read your manual, check with your instructor, learn where their controls are.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to shut safety. There's obviously a paddle safety on this gun here, but there are other passive safeties.
Things you don't see that work without any conscious thought at all.
This grip thing here is called the grip safety, and you have to be gripping the gun in order for it to deactivate and allow you to pull the trigger.
Grip turns the gun on.
Mm-hmm. There's also drop safeties, which would be your disconnector, and a firing pin block. So a modern pistol, if you drop it again, will not fire on its own unless there's something grossly wrong with it. They're designed to be drop safe so that when accidents happen, and they will, you're okay.
So some nomenclature here. This is the same frame Diane was using. This is made of polymer, a plastic, but all these guns have common names. This is the frame. Some people call it the receiver. You've got the grip, for obvious reasons. You get the front strap, the back strap. A lot of the plastic polymer frames now are coming with interchangeable back straps. Different shapes back here. Cool. Different sizes. Trigger guard. Trigger. This is the dust cover. And I've got some little grooves on here that you can attach accessories to. Lasers, flashlights, cup holders, whatever you want.
Cup holder.
On the flip side of that frame, you have a series of controls. There will be some type of takedown mechanism. On this one, it's the lever. There are different systems for different guns. Again, read the manual. There is a button here that locks back the slide, called the slide lock. Some people call it the slide release lever. It's technically a slide lock. This particular gun has a thumb safety, as the other gun did. Some do, some don't. It's a manual safety. It's my personal preference. You have the slide. Slide contains the firing pin or striker, the extractor that pulls out the cartridge. It has the barrel. It fits into here. You have a recoil spring. The spring helps push the slide back into battery, which is everything closed. Again, reassembly varies. Now I'm turning this into a real gun, so I'm real particular about where I'm pointing it. Being a 1911 fan, I'm trying to do this in a shadow. Read the manual, Thomas. Once you put this thing together, the parts are pretty much named the same, and some of our terminology will not change either. There we go. Bad day.
Whatever he's doing off camera.
Well, this is fascinating.
The rest of us are like, okay, we can see Tom's head as he's looking down. There you go. Voila, a gun.
Okay.
Now it's a gun.
Now it's a gun. My habit is to lock the slide back and check it by sight and feel. Okay.
Now it's a gun.
Action is called racking or running the slide. I have locked it back. On the slide, we have the rear sight, the front sight. I've got some serrations here. So I've got some grip, Some manufacturers put them in the front. Don't like those because your hand gets too close to the muzzle. You have the ejection port where the brass comes out. End up on the grip tang, and you have a pistol. Okay, don't add crap to your pistol. Keep it simple. Read the manual. Follow the 4 rules.
All the time.
Be safe. Okay, well, thanks, Tom and Diane. Tom and Diane Walls from the firearmsacademy.com. So check out their website, check out their videos, and guess what? You probably noticed they're a trainer. So maybe you want to take a class. Check it out.
We'll be there.